standards and the objectives, your learning target that you're talking about, knowing how to use that race strategy, ties in really well with your goal too. You being able to see that those standards and objectives are clearly communicated, and also that they're able to achieve that. So if you're thinking about the race strategy, how do you think it would be best suited for you to come back around to that and making sure that your students are able to master the race strategy? What are your thoughts on how to get that across to them?
I think having another class maybe and turning it back to them. How well, maybe pull up some of their responses and have them reflect on if they use the race, if the student used the race strategy, leave out names and just look at different answers and have them reflect on if the race strategy was used to answer it.
I love that. Do you think that you would have time and even maybe any lessons coming up where you would have time to maybe do that type of activity as like a warm-up activity or anything like that? Can you see yourself working it in somewhere?
I hope. Our next couple weeks are a little bit weird because we have, I think next week is a short week because we have an in-person event, and then I think we're doing interim assessment next week. So hopefully, I think my plan is Monday to do something like this because the interim assessment is going to be on I think it's going to be different, but I hope to do this, yes, on Monday next week, kind of as a preparation for their interim assessment.
I think that's great. I think that's a great idea. And thinking of that learning objective that you want them to meet, even in like a class on Monday, taking those responses from Go Formative, and I'm kind of talking out loud as I'm kind of brainstorming ideas of how to do that. Are you thinking of basically like copying and pasting a screenshot of responses and asking the students, do you think that this person used the race strategy? Tell me yes or no and explain your answer. Is that kind of how you're thinking about it?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Yes, we're on the same page.
Do you think that it would be a whole group activity, or do you think it might be a better idea to have that in a breakout room with small groups?
I think maybe both. So practice in a whole group and then go into a breakout room with a different student's response.
I think that's a great idea. And I'm even kind of thinking too, the students that you know use the race strategy, having them be the leaders in each breakout room so they can help facilitate that conversation because they already know what they're looking for.
Yeah, I think that is an excellent idea. Let me write that down. And it's funny because usually those students who are working and completing the race strategy are already our leaders. So I think that will be easy for me to remember and to make them those leaders.
I love that. I think that's a great idea. So, and also, if you look, so our rubric in instructional coaching, standards and objectives is one of our indicators. And so if you look at this up here, this 1, 3, or 5, if you look at that and you kind of think of what we're talking about, of finding that piece that they're not mastering and being able to do a full circle and come back and do an activity to reinforce that, you're taking that from a teacher-centered, moving towards student-centered, and even going towards a completely student-centered classroom where the teacher is facilitating the learning. You're giving it to the students to basically show them what they're not doing and enabling them to work in a small group to make sure that they're understanding what that race strategy is.